Today, we're diving into a story that feels like it's straight out of an old explorer's journal. But it's not. It happened just recently. We're talking about the accidental discovery of a brand new, uncharted island in one of the most remote places on the entire planet. So you have to ask yourself, in this day and age, with satellites, GPS, Google Earth, how does an entire island just stay hidden? It's a great question, right? We kind of assume our world is completely mapped, every last inch accounted for. But this story? It's the perfect reminder that there are still blank spots on the map, sometimes hiding in plain sight.
So let's set the scene. Our story begins right here in the Weddell Sea, just northwest of Antarctica. I mean, look at it. It's a landscape of extremes, just vast, frozen, and it looks completely empty. And yet somewhere in that maze of icebergs and sea ice, a whole island was just sitting there, undiscovered.
So how on earth did it stay hidden for so long? Well, part of the answer is actually pretty old school. It comes down to a simple, centuries-old warning on nautical charts.
Yep, that's right. For decades, even centuries, nautical charts just marked this whole chunk of the Weddell Sea as an unexplored danger zone. That basically meant for generations of sailors, this area was a no-go zone. The charts just had this vague warning, but nobody was really sure what the dangers were or even where that warning came from in the first place.
So, what is a danger zone anyway? You can think of it like a big question mark on the map. It's a warning to sailors that basically says, hey, we think there might be something here that could sink your ship, but honestly, we haven't checked. And believe it or not, that simple little warning was enough to keep this whole area a total mystery.
Until that is, a really nasty bout of weather forced a research ship to make an unplanned detour right smack into the middle of that very danger zone. Let's break down exactly how this all went down. So picture this. It's mid-February 2026. The German research icebreaker, the Polarstern, is out on a mission in the Weddell Sea. Suddenly, some seriously bad storms roll in. They have to find shelter, fast. So they change course, and that new route takes them right through this unexplored danger zone. And that's when they spotted it, something that just wasn't on any of their charts.
And I love this, hearing it straight from the source. One of the geophysicists, Simon Droudard, said, at first they just thought, oh, it's just a dirty iceberg, it's something they see all the time. But as they got a closer look, they realized this was something different. That dirt, it wasn't just grime. It was actual, solid rock. And just to give you some context, this was a big international team, 93 people from the Alfred Wegener Institute. And the funny thing is, they weren't even looking for islands. Their main job was to study the melting Larsen ice shelf. This whole discovery was a complete accident, a perfect case of scientific serendipity. Okay, so spotting something weird is one thing, but actually proving you found a brand new island? Well, that's a whole other story. It involves some serious science.
So the crew of the Polarstern didn't just snap a picture and sail on. No way. They actually changed course and carefully got closer, to within about 150 meters. Then they busted out the high-tech gear. They used a multi-beam echo sounder to map the seabed all around it, and boom, that proved it was solid ground, not just a big iceberg stuck on the bottom. Then they sent a drone up to map it from the air. When all the data came in, the conclusion was undeniable. This was a new island.
So how big are we talking here? Let's run through the numbers real quick. First, it's 130 meters long. To put that in perspective, that's a little bit longer than the very ship that found it, the Polarstern.
Then you've got its width, which is about 50 meters.
And at its highest peak, it stands about 16 meters tall. That's roughly 52 feet above the water.
So you put all that together and you're looking at a total area of about 6,200 square meters. Here's a great way to picture it. That's roughly the size of the White House. Just think about that for a second. An area the size of the White House, just appearing on the map out of nowhere.
Now, this whole story is amazing on its own, but it gets even more interesting when you put it side by side with another recent discovery in Antarctica called Sif Island. And this is where it gets really important, the how. See, the new island in the Weddell Sea was basically hiding in plain sight. It was disguised as an iceberg in a part of the ocean ships just didn't go to. It was simply mist. But Sif Island, that's a totally different story. It wasn't just mist. It was literally buried under hundreds of meters of ice from the Pine Island Glacier. The only reason we can see it now is because that glacier melted and retreated like crazy.
And that's the bottom line right there. You've got these two islands, discovered just a few years apart, showing us that our maps are changing for two very different reasons. One was just mist. It's a reminder that exploration isn't over. The other It was unveiled by a changing climate. It's a pretty stark signal, wouldn't you say?
So, okay, finding a new island is obviously super cool. But beyond that, why does this really matter? What can we actually learn from a discovery like this?
Well, for one, it tells us that our maps are still incomplete, even in the 21st century. It proves there's just no substitute for getting out there and actually exploring, seeing things with your own eyes. It also shows us that satellite data isn't perfect. From way up in space, a rocky island can look a heck of a lot like an iceberg. But maybe most importantly, it reminds us that Antarctica isn't just this static, frozen block at the bottom of the world. It's a dynamic, changing continent with way more secrets to give up.
And really, it all boils down to this one big question. If this little rocky island, about the size of the White House, could stay hidden from us for centuries, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are still out there, buried and waiting under Antarctica's massive, shifting ice?